So, instant reaction here to the live press conference of Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn 2 coming on November 15th. They just had it, and once again, Chris Eubank Jr. comedy gold for me. Absolutely brilliant. Go watch it if you haven't seen it, but it's really funny. The way he just kind of holds court, the way he's just talking, and, you know, Eddie Hearn was saying, he's trying to talk over him, he's saying he was waffling on. And he was waffling on, but he was doing it on purpose. He's doing it to make them bite, and they were all biting. Conor Benn, I thought, seemed really subdued and really kind of calm, but a bit subdued. His dad seemed to be fired up, Nigel Benn, saying that his son lost the fight, so he needs to go and prove himself in the winner a second time round. But Eddie Hearn bit a few times as well. You know, Chris Eubank Jr. was saying a lot of stuff up there. He was throwing shades at the British Boxing Board of Control, Robert Smith. He was Eddie Hearn, everyone's conspiracy against him, you know, all this kind of stuff. So he was doing the stuff. I mean, there was at one point where I think Conor Benn was, questioning Chris Eubank Jr. about something. Then Ben Shalom sort of piped up as well, and then they almost got into it in terms of, well, you know, I think they were talking about the rehydration and what was in his system, and Ben Shalom saying, well, you know, what have you been accused of? What is your system type thing? You know, then all of a sudden, you didn't see it, but you heard Eddie Hearn say, you know, not now, Ben. This is not the time, Ben. This is not shouldn't be doing. And I thought that was a bit of a slap down. It's almost like Eddie Hearn was trying to put Ben Shalom back in his box. You know, not down, little boy. You don't talk about this now. If I was Ben Shalom, I'd be like, don't you fucking tell me what I can and cannot say here, what I can and cannot do. Don't tell me if this is the right place or not. I would have actually had to bite back. I think I would have been one of those who would have bit back at Eddie Hearn saying, don't you fucking tell me what to do, you arsehole. You know, and because he was starting to descend into certain things. Chris Eubank Jr. has got Bomac for his coach again. Bomac was his coach when he fought Liam Smith for the second time and basically just, demolished him, really, didn't he? I mean, there's lots of things with that fight. Liam Smith was totally unprepared. He had injuries and all that sort of stuff, and he just wasn't himself. You could see that it wasn't himself as well. But Chris Eubank Jr. just completely, outboxed, just completely destroyed him, really, didn't he? But yeah, that was Bomac at his side. Obviously, he couldn't make it for the last fight. He says timing issues. He's now back for this fight, and he thinks it's going to be an easy night of work. I'm not so sure it's going to be an easy night's work for Chris Eubank Jr. I think the calmness of Nigel Benn, where he displayed in the press conference, is almost like, he acknowledges exactly what he went wrong, what he needs to do. There's a mythology, a calculated mythology about the way he's approaching it. This is just, reading between the lines here, and maybe, probably he's even said it himself. Last time he was headhunting, the emotion got the better of him. Now it seems if they all acknowledge, no, you got to go in there and box him and box the arse off him. Whereas Chris Eubank Jr. is maybe still playing this game. And look, if it's any indication that he is taking this seriously, he is taking the rematch seriously, and possibly even acknowledges that Conor Benn is going to be even more of a threat this time, that's why he's got Bomac with him. That's why he's got Benn. Now, together, when they did a face-off, he looked enormous compared to Conor Benn in terms of height. Now, I was watching their feet, because obviously a lot of boxers, they do this when they go face-to-face. They put, high heels on just to make them look bigger, right, and taller. When it comes to fight night, they're around about the same sort of size. But Chris Eubank Jr. is the taller guy, and he definitely is naturally the bigger guy as well. But I think now he hasn't got into his camp. He wouldn't be in his camp just yet. Probably just about to start or just getting into camp right now. And he looks big under there. I mean, I know he's wearing a big coat and everything over it, but you look beneath that, and he's wearing a black top. He looked big and chunky under there, and maybe that was the point. Maybe that was a point to kind of intimidate Conor Benn a little bit, but he just held court again. I've got to say, I cannot wait for the next press conference for these two. and Chris Eubank Jr. having a go at Eddie Hearn again. I mean, there was one moment where I thought, Chris, just shut up, will you? Just shut up. And that was when Eddie Hearn was trying to talk and trying to give a word. Wanted to have a moment to express a few words of condolences for Ricky Hatton. He was trying to do that. Everybody could see he was trying to do it. Now, whether Chris Eubank Jr. didn't hear that's what he was trying to do, or then he was just so focused on not letting Eddie Hearn speak, who knows? But it was just one of those moments ill-timed, and that was probably the negative against him. He stumbled on his words right towards the end a little bit, Chris Eubank Jr., when he's talking about parliamentary procedure, or this procedure will be parliamentary, or whatever it was, and Eddie Hearn was scoffing at him a little bit. But look, it makes great theatre, and I've got to say, I'm with Chris Eubank Jr. in this regard. Eddie Hearn, just keep your fucking mouth shut. It's got nothing to do with you. Let your fighters speak. This is about the fighters, not about the promoters. Yeah, the promoters can have a little bit of input, but that's about it. But Eddie Hearn takes over way too much for me. He should let Conor Benn, hold his own in there. And he probably feels that Conor Benn can't hold his own. That's why he does it. But in fact, he does it with all his fighters. He talks too much for me. Whereas Chris Eubank Jr. is like, no, it's my show. I'm taking over here. Let us know your thoughts. And say, go watch it. Let us know your thoughts with Chris Eubank Jr. I'm not going to make any predictions for the fight. I'm hoping, we're all hoping, it's going to be another barnstorm. We're hoping there's going to be another really tight fight. And, I've got the feeling it's going to be a really tight fight again. I just don't think it's going to be a walkover for either guy. It really depends, how Chris Eubank Jr. makes weight, rehydrates, and what weight Conor Benn comes in at, and what he's at fight weight as well. And is he planning to come in just a little bit, even just a little bit heavier this time, to have a bit more punch power, or what? Or does he feel that he was exactly right the last time? He just needs to box a bit more savvy this time. I would say the latter is probably the best way to go for Conor Benn. And for Chris Eubank Jr., I think he's probably just got to manage himself just a little bit more and time everything just a little bit right in terms of the weight, gaining or making the weight, and then also, rehydrating and just being comfortable with it. If the rehydration clause is still there, which I believe it is, to stay comfortably within the 10 pounds and not, be so dehydrated, afterwards. But listen, fantastic. Again, fantastic. Comedy gold for me, Chris Eubank Jr. has been, and I can't wait to hear him. You kind of love to hate him. You kind of think, oh, what are you talking about now? But at the same time, sometimes these things are as dull as dishwater. I can't even get my words out. A little bit like Chris Eubank Jr. But I tell you what, it's great. It's great to watch, and interesting stuff. So Chris Eubank Jr., I would say once again, 1-0 to you, sir. Eddie Hearn, you lost some, and you were biting, Eddie. You were biting quite a lot there, quite a lot. Catch you on the next video coming very soon. Whatever it is, you know what I do. Keep on watching. Ta-da now.